and that's based off of my own experience.
Sure.
So it's like, how do we go about making that change?
I think personally, and I think this is where it's going, honestly, and again, let's take it from a macro level. Let's take it because what was education's function? And again, this is not conspiratorial. Education's function, or modern education as we see it now, started in the Industrial Revolution. What happened was you had a whole group of people. So we went from the agricultural age where most people worked on farms. You know, they worked on farms, they would get their little produce, they'll sell it in the market and go home, and that was it. But then we moved into an industrial era, the factory era, where instead of having one farmer or 10 farmers getting, I don't know, 100 acres of land, you could have, or farming 100 acres of land, I'm just throwing right, or 10 acres of land. You could have one farmer with all the machinery doing 1,000 acres of land. So the means of production. So what we ended up having was they were saying, okay, for example, we built all these machines, but we need people to work them. So that's where the big industrialists, and you can look this up, this is not conspiratorial at all. They said, look, we need a workforce, but how are we going to get that workforce? Let's start up education. And the reason why we have that grading system was the grading system would say, okay, this one's slightly smarter than this one. So this one can be telling the others what to do. The dumber one can probably go out in the field and you know, just do the farming or whatnot, what have you. That's why we have that grading system. The reason why we even have half terms and summer breaks was because, again, remember, some of these kids needed to go back home and help their dads on the farm. That's why we have a 6-week holiday. The 6-week holiday would be the time that they're going out to actually help on the farms. Again, this is all not conspiratorial. This is all historical fact, and go and look it up for yourself. So we developed an education system to prepare people for the industrial age. They're now in the information age, right? How do we change that? So I think number one, if I was education secretary, we've got to realize that the 9 to 5 is dead. It's gone. The safe pension is gone. We've got to realize and let that go. That was an older model, right? What we've got to prepare people to do, so solution-based, we have got to go to that alternative curriculum model of Norway and say, look, how come this is again, with human beings, how we can beat the machines is we're creative, we're out of the box. We need to focus on that solution-based thing. So I would say to my kids, for example, rather than saying, okay, let's read a poem, I'll say, all right, write this poem. Why did you write that poem? Okay, that's creative writing. So that's a poor example. But rather than saying, studying about business and saying, business is blah, 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 start your own business.
Yeah, go and do something.
Do those things. Be creative. Think about yourself, Francis. Did you get a degree in podcasting?
No, not at all.
How did you do it? How did you
went about and done it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I got the equipment, started, and then learned on the go. Yeah.
Learned on the go, and that's what we've got to do. That is what I think we've got to, and I think in a way, a weird way, the kids already got it. The kids say to me all the time, why am I learning this? Why am I bothering with this? How is it going to help me? Why am I not learning about mortgages? Why am I not learning about, you know, things that really matter? And it's, again, I think that the education system has not been disrupted. If I took a teacher from the Edwardian times and I took out obviously the TV and all the technology, he would be right at home. He would know what this is a classroom, and he would know how to teach. And that's shocking. The system needs to change, man. And I think now this is the wake-up call, because we are preparing people for jobs. See, I know people that are accountants, and they're telling me that AI is already, and it's, when we're talking about jobs.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the medical field. I know I speak to a lot of scientists and engineers within the medical field that are talking about soon there won't be need for nurses, no doctors and surgeons, because the machine will be able to handle the rest of that for them. So nurses, obviously, they post-op caregivers and stuff, but in terms of actively cutting people up and operating on them, soon you have the machine doing that to 100% accuracy, really.
Exactly. And I saw something which was mad, because I like these type of things. So basically, just say you are a doctor in America and there's a young child in Brazil that needs an operation. You can't get the doctor out there. It's almost like Prometheus, the film. They've got like a box where it's like VR operation. So the man's in the machine and he's operating, and the arms are moving in Brazil, and it's almost like the guy is
he's there.
It's there. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, that is what we've got to move to. We've got to move to a model where the industrialization, because the industrialization and the brainwashing that we've given our kids, we have to move from that now. A lot of our students now are going to go into jobs that we have never even heard of. And we've got to
definitely.
prepare their minds of how do we think outside the box? How do we do certain things? Even with coding, I thought, remember that was the whole thing of, go and be a coder.
Go be a coder, yeah.
The coder said, he goes, we've got AI that writes the code for us. So what you can do is you can tell it what to do. Say, I want a website with this, that, and the other. And in fact, we're doing it now. I built my website. I'm not a coder, but on the website like Wix, you've got a thing where you say, what do you want me to do? I do it. I don't write. I don't know a line of code.
You just drop it. Boom, pick and drop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even the coders are saying to me, it's getting to a point that we're going to be out of business in the next 20 years. We won't need we won't need, because computers can write their own code. So we're this is going to be, when we look back in 50 years, by the grace of God, we're all here in 50 years, the way that this year's gone. But it's mad. But we're moving. This is going to be, I think, a pinnacle. This will be the time we'll say that the world truly changed forever. And I think that is what we've got to move forward to. And it's not doom and gloom for me, because I look at things and I think this is a chance, especially with our children that are working class, especially with the ethnic minorities who have historically been disadvantaged in the education system. This is a chance to say, whoa, this is major disruption. Let's look at what we can do here. So there's guys that are starting, look at Mark Zuckerberg. He started Facebook in his dorm room. There's so many examples. Tumblr. I think the guy let me not tell lies. There's a guy that started a news aggregation site at 15. I've forgotten the name of it. He sold it, I think, to Apple, and he's a multi-millionaire. These are the things that we need to encourage.
I think the good thing is with like the current state of like the media and stuff like that, and social media in particularly, a lot of young kids got access to this information. So they hear some of these stories and they see the changes happening physically in front of them. They're seeing all the chaos. They're seeing all the order. They're hearing about all these various people that created businesses out of nothing, which is also of vast importance. But then it's like the information and the skill sets that they need to develop in order to become those individuals. That's where the system is lacking in. And I personally think the government does the country a disservice when they're not offering this to kids, because it's only going to benefit us if we're equipping more people to develop, do things, and make things happen.
Of course.
You see what I mean?
Of course, but you know what it is? I think this is, again, because I don't want it to be doom and gloom. I don't want your viewers to think, it's the end of the world. Look, if we look at like Karl Marx and what Karl Marx was saying, he was basically saying that whoever owns the means of production basically run the world or run the country. So if you've got a factory owner that owns the machines, of course he can tell the other guys what to do. You understand? Because he owns those machines. He owns the building. Yeah. The great thing about the time we're living in is the means of production, the barriers to entry, and virtually, unless you're doing something like, I don't know, trying to cure cancer or something, the barriers to entry are so low. So, for example, I remember in early 2000 when I was working in the music industry, long story, we were looking to get a website. So this was in 1998. A website would have cost you, from a professional web designer, and we're talking like dial-up website, it would have cost you $1,000 to make.
Easy, yeah.
$1,000 to do it. Now you can do it for free. I was teaching kids how to make it. Computers, everything has gone down in value. Even starting a poddy. Try and imagine starting, again, there wasn't podcasts. There was radio shows. Trying to get on radio was nigh impossible. Now, I was watching Joe Budden and looking at the whole thing with the Spotify thing and what's going on. You've got Joe Rogan's podcast, the biggest podcast in the world.